Hi, this is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. We have Giacomo on today and Tone, and a lot of this is going to be about mining. So, but specifically Bitcoin mining, obviously. So, with that said, Giacomo, how's it going? Different background today.
Yeah, this is a playroom with, since the last time I said that I don't follow soccer or football, I am in my brother's room with a lot of football references. So now I can be forgiven by my fellow Italians.
Good. Tone, what about you? How are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm good. I'm still in New York. I've been tired. I've been busy. It's been really I thought it would be a relaxing week, and I can't believe the week's almost over. And I got 2 more weeks before I have to go to Europe. So, or maybe 1 more week. I'm not even sure anymore.
All right. Well, while we have you in New York, we'll talk about Bloomberg. Okay, so one of the biggest crypto, oh wow, seeing myself on this hard hat is ridiculous. Okay, one of the biggest crypto exchanges is heading to the Caribbean. So I actually thought this was a pretty good investigative reporting story that broke about Bitfinex. So they were dumped by Wells Fargo and they're banking with, it's called Noble Bank International, and that's from Puerto Rico. And during the time that they were figuring this out, they were banking with a private Panamanian firm called Crypto Capital. So a kind of interesting note is that Noble doesn't actually hold the money. It uses Bank of New York Mellon as its custodian. And I'm just going to start out with a tiny side note. So I find this really interesting because I actually recently co-founded a nonprofit working in Puerto Rico post Hurricane Maria. And the island still doesn't have, I think it's 60% of the island still doesn't have access to electricity. So personally, I'm thinking about things. I'd see Bitfinex making this move for tax reasons, given that Puerto Rico is trying to establish itself as a tax paradise, given their economy is failing, has been for a while. And my understanding is that after establishing residency, you can actually sell your crypto holdings 100% tax-free, although debatable if the IRS will let that continue. But moving to you, Tone, what did you think about this story?
Yeah, I mean, Bitfinex continues to be in the news and in investigative reporting news, which is not where you want to be as an exchange, right? They're always in the news, right? They got this whole thing with Bitfinex, someone that's trying to expose them and everything that they do. They are, in charge of Tether, which has been a punching bag for a while now. And if you continue to be in the news, like my view on it is, when there's smoke, there is fire somewhere, right? So as Bitfinex continues to be in the news, sooner or later something's going to happen. So it's stay out of the news. Like whenever we hear about Gemini, it's always them creating the press releases. You don't really hear about other exchanges like BitMax and some of the other ones. Sorry, guys, had to sneeze. Still a little bit under the weather here. But yeah, I mean, you're always in the news. This time it's for tax reasons, potentially banking reasons. They're trying to struggling to find a bank partner. I don't know what to say here. I mean, we just got to wait for some actual, serious things, right? Either they get that audit and everything is clear, or they don't get an audit and, they continue to be getting subpoenaed and getting investigated. This is what happens when you, have a lot of volume or say you have a lot of volume, and then people are going to investigate you. Do you really have the volume that you have? I mean, you deal with it, right? This is what big companies are supposed to be able to deal with. I don't really have any other comments on this. Everything is mostly speculation until something actually happens,
Right. Interesting. And to your point, Tone, just as, quick timeline, right? So DOJ opened up the criminal probe yesterday, and their New York auditing firm, I believe it says here, Friedman LLP, was subpoenaed by the CFTC to access the claims that Tether did hold enough United States dollars. So we'll see about that one. Also, right, let's just going through it quickly. Tether was hacked last November. And then thanks to the BitMEX research, was actually really good. Good job, guys. They have a lot of really interesting ties with Tether. We've discussed it a lot. Maybe we're getting a little slack for going very negative on Tether or suspicious, but they're absolutely in the news a lot, and so we'll see. But Giacomo, what did you think about this story?
So first of all, it's interesting that they are again mentioning Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is, it's not the first time that there is a place on earth that gets a lot of publicity about convergence of crypto business and crypto project, and that tries to market itself as some kind of not just a tax havens like you said, but maybe specifically a crypto haven. So there was the Man Island. And then there was Malta even recently with all the new business moving there. Then Switzerland, Zug, the Crypto Valley, Switzerland in general, also Lugano where I am. And now Puerto Rico, there is a lot of news going on from there. So it could be interesting because a lot of these crypto paradises have been more proof of news than anything else as well. Not only ICOs and altcoins, but also countries like to just live up on news. But we will see. Maybe it's really an ecosystem that can be somehow that can gather the attention from businesses. As for Bitfinex, I mean, it's, as you said, it's mostly speculation. I think that one of the reasons there is so much investigation and fuzz in investigative reports is not just because they claim to have a very big volume, but also because they are a little bit, they are more aggressive as for regulation and compliance. They are a little bit less, traditionally, they are less a pain in the ass for the customer than a traditional Coinbase-like or Gemini-like fully US compliant, FATCA compliant exchange. They are more free, let's say, more open for the customer, and that can probably attract a lot of unwanted attention. So we will see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder, if maybe actually, to be contrarian, if they're starting to make a bit smarter moves. Noble, I was doing a little research. It's kind of interesting. They're called, it's full reserve banking. It's also called like 100% reserve banking, which is when a bank doesn't lend deposits, but keeps all the deposited funds, either in the form of like physical cash or electronically on deposit or at a custody bank, which they're talking about, or the central bank. And it's rare, but it's supposed to make the financial system less susceptible to credit expansion. And it's kind of in alignment with Austrian School of Economics and libertarianism sometimes. So, I guess we'll probably keep following them in the news, but that's a little bit of background. So this is a Forbes story that came out that didn't form their own opinion, but left the question open. So maybe you guys are going to answer this one. Very simply, Bitcoin hash rate telling a bullish story. So, right, the steady increase in hash rate, I'll go down to the chart during the months leading up to and after the market sell-off. And looking at the chart of the total crypto, market cash and hash rate side by side is what they're saying, shows a clear divergence. So really, the piece just poses the question, why is it that the hash rate is increasing while prices are still in continuing decline? And I'll start with you, Giacomo.
So I think that's, mining can be seen as a less hysteric and less hectic and more long-term oriented market. If you only look at price is very sensitive. I mean, if you own Bitcoin, you don't just sell Bitcoin because you think that in the long run, the price is going to go down. But you also sell Bitcoin if you think that in the long run, the price is bullish, but in the short run is not for several reasons. And you just want to surf the price flexion. So when you look at the market, you look at a lot of short-term drives. While when you look at industrial investments, that can return only in the time span of years, you get probably a clear image of a long-term oriented industry. So I think that it's correct to say that they continue rising in hash rate even when the price is going down is actually a bullish signal. There are people which are not suicidal ideological martyrs. They are businessmen, and they have a business theory, a business idea that is based also on the price of Bitcoin, because profitability is driven by difficulty, so competition, but also price. And yeah, while the market is right now very, very bearish, the future outlook that the miners entrepreneurs are seeing is actually bullish, and that's, I think that's a fair take on this kind of metric. Also, I mean, the strange thing is that a reduction in difficulty happened during. I mean, it was very rare. Also, in the previous bear market in the long Bitcoin winter. I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that during the long Bitcoin winter the hash rate dropped significantly, and I think it continues to increase actually, even maybe if with a steadier path.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Tone, turning to you, and also when I do your QA in your trading shows, everybody always asks, you know, at what price people are going to stop mining. So just throwing this to you, what were your thoughts on the piece? You're muted.
Yeah, so like as you read that piece, it feels like whoever is writing it doesn't really understand Bitcoin, and they're just looking at this hash rate and they're like, well, the price is supposed to go up. So here's a 2-year chart of the hash rate. Remember when Bcash stole a bunch of hash rate from Bitcoin? We barely see that, right? So you see that the dip before the September 17 time period, right? You see that dip, Leah? You can put your cursor right on that, maybe. Yeah, right there, right. So that's the dip that where Bcash stole a bunch of Bitcoin hash rate. I have no idea what that dip is at the end of November. Maybe that's also Bcash related. And you can see how it like ramped up. You can see the doubling of the hash rate from the summer of 2017 into the October period of 2018. So that was really, really quick. We then doubled again real fast from around October 2017 into like late January, early February of this year. And we have not doubled since then. So you can see how the rate of growth has slightly slowed down. In addition, this doesn't tell me that Bitcoin is undervalued. As we're about to see in another article, some company is mining Bitcoin and it only costs them just over $2,000 Canadian to mine a Bitcoin. So that's like under $2,000 a Bitcoin. So I continue to say that anyone on Twitter that isn't in charge of a monster mining operation that has any opinion as to how much it costs to mine a Bitcoin, that person is a complete moron and he shouldn't be talking. I have no idea how much it costs to mine a Bitcoin, but I know it's probably significantly lower than people think. Now, you who bought a miner and is not an expert at mining, running that miner in your house, paying the electricity bill, you might have this delusion that it costs $5,000 or $6,000 to mine a Bitcoin. An expert at mining might have gotten that cost down to under $2,000 US. Maybe some of them are still mining Bitcoin at about $1,000 per Bitcoin per coin right now. You have absolutely no idea. Nobody does. So I personally think that Bitcoin has plenty of room. Now, remember, mining isn't that profitable if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, it's pretty profitable. You're also watching new miners coming online. In addition, mining isn't like you bought a when you invest in mining, you're basically investing 6 months ahead. So most likely there's still mining gear coming online that was intended to come online at an all-time high of the price of Bitcoin. These things aren't exactly, snap your fingers and you're running a miner, a brand new one, and then snap your fingers and you're not running a miner anymore. A lot of the whole setting up your miner thing is lagging by at least a couple of months. That's probably global. So the data that you're seeing is always going to be delayed. And chances are you'll see mining drop off just as the price has already started to go back up to the upside. Giacomo, I'd like you to I mean, I know nothing about mining. I can't even get my one miner up and running. So feel free to like correct me on anything I said.
I think
question. Sorry.
No, go.
Speculation or just a guess for the November, maybe because Segwit 2x potential, and didn't they do a pre-mine?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, there was no pre-mine. I mean, the Segwit 2x.
I thought there was like an unknown development team that was trying to like pre-mine prior to its cancellation, something like that. But I could be totally off.
No, I think that that was Bitcoin Gold, actually. Bitcoin Gold had a secret pre-mine, well, not so secret when it launched.
Okay.
Or maybe, oh no, I know what. Maybe you're talking about Bitcoin United, the other scam of Jeff Garzik, a contemporary of Bitcoin 2x. And Bitcoin United was a scam coin in which they were going to take away all the not climbed UTXO and reassigning it to Ethereum and to other projects. So it was crazy, but there was no pre-mine there.
Oh my God, all these forks. Okay, and response to Tone, sorry for cutting you off.
I honestly, I don't know. I think it's a rational hypothesis. Mining is very difficult. I'm cooperating with some mining operation, and I still don't fully get the numbers. Also because I'm lazy, so I never try to put everything on a spreadsheet. But I think it's reasonable to. They're all a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, very interesting. I really liked your point. Well, actually, I was to the last. Oh yeah, we were on the last piece. I just moved it forward about long-term vision, and especially with the next two stories that we're going to get into of companies being optimistic about the future, one Lambo or one Moon. But that makes a lot of sense, and that's actually makes me very optimistic and happy. So good point on that. Okay, Bitfury backed group mined 800 bitcoins in Q1. So the Bitfury backed group is called Hut 8 Mining Group, and they mined, as per the title, more than 800 Bitcoin in the first quarter of this year, and raised 70 million Canadian dollars to continue investing in the mining hardware, which generated nearly 11 million Canadian dollars in revenue, and is, they say, one step closer also to opening another facility in Canada. So they report to have a reserve also of more than 1,300 Bitcoins. Giacomo, what did you think when you read this story?
The first thing I thought about when I read the story is that I really hope that Bitfury will make a lot of money mining Bitcoin, because I really hope that they stop trying to profit from these very, very disgusting de-anonymization programs and de-anonymization efforts. Right now they launched this Crystal platform, which is a platform selling clustering information and tainting information and basically chain analysis tools, which I think are very, very bad. There was a huge discussion on Twitter between me and Alex Petrov and also George from Bitfury, but I cannot see that part because he blocked me on Twitter. But also Adam Gibson and many other privacy and the guys from Samurai Wallet. So a big discussion about privacy, and basically Bitfury is entering this arena of selling tools to de-anonymize people, giving away their privacy. But not only that, these are tools that can give to regulators the fake notion. They're selling to regulators the fake notion that you can de-anonymize people effectively, while that's not even always true. Sometimes you can have some results with clustering and tainting and chain analysis that are not correct. And there are examples like in France and elsewhere of people initially convicted for crimes without any sound technical reason, just because the regulators are starting to trust this kind of very, very let's say, very, very heuristical interpretation of the chain data. So, sorry, I went a little bit off topic from the mining part, but the mining part...
That's not off topic. It's important.
That's really,
people need to know. And I'm not only like, look, I like Bitfury in that they were very instrumental in making sure Bitmain didn't have a monopoly, but it's very, very bad what they're doing with the chain analysis kind of identifying users of Bitcoin. I also think they are involved in a very dumb project in the country of Georgia or some of the other ones putting real estate on the blockchain. I think that's another dumb thing for Bitfury to be involved in because it's totally ridiculous.
Also, there was another announcement about an altcoin, some kind of scam coin with the news. So what I will take away is I really hope that Bitfury will make a lot of money with mining, so they can continue to make mining and hardware producing industry more decentralized with Halong and them and Avalon and Bitmain and maybe Samsung and other companies, and they stay away from this strange pivoting passion that they are showing recently.
That really interesting point. And if I remember correctly, it was a former DOJ investigator who's now a Bitfury advisor. I believe his name was Jason Weinstein, that came on, and there's just like actually apparently a lot of links also to other government agencies. And I actually think Jimmy even made some comments about this like a very long time ago. So that's definitely a really good point. Very interesting.
Wait, before you move on, go back.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the one thing that jumped out at me is that last paragraph where it says they're spending approximately 2,600 Canadian dollars per every Bitcoin that they mine. So there you go. I mean, I'm not sure how they're losing 4 million on this. I guess they have to still be profitable by a lot, but they're not as profitable as they were, let's say, 3 months ago.
Right.
Yeah, I also think it's a relative loss of profitability.
Right. So there you go. 2,600 Canadian. That's like, $2,000 US. So there you go. That's one operation in Canada. And I don't know how cheap the electricity is that they got over in Canada in some places. But I'm sure if you optimize electricity, you could probably get that cost even lower. So all these people that talk about it's $5,000-$6,000 to mine a Bitcoin, they're crazy. It's significantly lower than that if you know what you're doing.
And moving on to a new miner, tech giant GMO to roll out world's first 7nm Bitcoin miner. So Japanese IT tech giant said that they're going to launch the new B2 miner on June 6th, coming up, with mass production to follow and shipments starting at the end of October. And according to the announcement, in addition to selling the B2 to other miners, GMO also plans to utilize the new product at the existing mining facilities. I'll turn this one to you, Tone, back to you. One, what'd you think? Also, what's so great about this chip?
Well, that one will be more of a question for Giacomo. And what's great about the chips, that's not my expertise. What I will say is, as I was reading this article, everything sounded amazingly great. $90 million investment in R&D is a lot. They're going to be, and they're saying like they mined all this Bitcoin and they only made 8 million. So it's going to take them a while to get that $90 million back unless they hold on to the Bitcoin. See, this is how you make money in mining, okay? If you have a big enough fiat backing, you mine a bunch of Bitcoin and you hold it. You have to be able to hold that Bitcoin for a year or two, and then you make up all of that profit on the appreciation of the price of Bitcoin. Also, like as someone mentioned in the chat, if you know what you're doing when it comes to mining, you hedge your volatility risk by selling futures based on the amount of Bitcoin you expect to mine. So you can actually, realize that profit now based on you know how much you know what your difficulty is, you know how much hash rate you're providing, so you have an expectation of how much Bitcoin you go to mine, and you can sell that Bitcoin with futures contracts if you want to hedge any kind of downside. But the way to make money with mining is to hold on to that Bitcoin, right? Like right now, I don't have any miner running because I can't connect my newest one. But the old one, I think I mined like maybe 0.2 Bitcoin or something with that miner. And I'm going to hold on to that 0.2 Bitcoin until that 0.2 Bitcoin is like, like $10,000 or something, right? And then boom, I recouped all of my costs. So you have to be able to have enough fiat backing to mine a bunch of Bitcoin and hold on to it for it to go up. If you're immediately selling that Bitcoin, it's going to be a little tough unless you have some kind of a major advantage. Now, everything here sounded amazing until I got to the very last paragraph that made me just, let's say, WTF. I'm trying not to curse here. Like this sounds like they have an idiot a little too high up the chain that has somehow convinced the company that it's a good idea to go ICO with complete disregard for the existence of this company, because this would be an absolutely horrible idea. Like a profitable company with employees and revenue and being listed, going ICO is a good way to, your entire, it's a good way for a 20, 30-year company to completely disappear off the face of the earth by doing something stupid as printing their own money or unlicensed securities and selling them to 12-year-olds trading them. It just makes no sense. Why do they need a token? It was just, this is like the most ridiculous thing I've read like all week, because it seems like they know what they're doing, other than someone really dumb that happened to move up the chain without, and I can't even explain the stupidity of something profitable being ruined by the printing of your own money.
Right. And they don't need the money. They don't need that capital raise from an ICO. And also in regards to the fact of what their product, it also doesn't make sense. Giacomo, what do you think? And also, can you tell me what's great about these chips?
Yeah, so about the SEO, I agree with you, with Don. I think that the problem here is that somebody was super sad to leave this money on the table. So somebody was, I mean, we don't need this money. We don't need the token. But guys, everybody's making money with ICOs, and we are in crypto industry. So why should we leave this money on the table? It's free. Nobody, I mean, SEC is not closing down ICOs. Nobody's doing anything about that. It's just free money. So I think that's kind of what's happening with profitable companies doing ICOs. They just cannot believe that there's money there, and they are leaving it on the table just for what, ethical reasons. Big companies do not often work based on ethical reasons. So probably that's all, or some marketing or stuff. So going to the actual good news. I didn't mention GMO in the list of Bitmain competitors that I did in the previous that I made in the previous news. So it's very, very good that there is yet another competitor coming from pre-existing industries. So this is not a Bitcoin startup. This is something. This is an incumbent which is investing in this new field of mining. So this is a good news per se. The fact that we have a new competitor to Bitmain. Again, in Bitcoin hashing, so the action of trying to mine blocks is not itself very, very centralized. The problem is the production of ASICs chip. That's centralized because the entry barrier in order to become one of them is very, very, very high as of prices and resources. So that's the big centralization. And this news had to contrast that in two ways. One, they are pushing the competition further and further close to a physical limit. So there are, without going into too many physical details, but there is a dimension, a minimal dimension of chips that you can do in a traditional way. And when you start to go below that dimension, you start to have quantum mechanics messing up with everything you do. So since you cannot go below that size, there is actually a hard limit in the kind of optimization that you can do in at least using current physical and technological assumption. So this kind of news about 7 nanometers are actually good news, because the industry is going closer and closer to this limit. And what does happen when we actually touch this limit? What happens is commodification. So basically, there is not a trivial way to optimize further, and so every optimization becomes marginal. So you can throw more money at these chips, but they will not go any more efficient than that, because you reach the ultimate physical threshold. So that's the moment in which the profitability, the optimization level start to be very, very smooth and without huge discontinuity. And when the optimization level starts to be kind of plateau, then you can have a lot of competition, very close competition, and you can like start to use mining for stuff like cogeneration of heat in cold countries or stuff like that. Right now, it's impossible because the rate of innovation in ASICs is too fast. And so I cannot put an ASICs in my mountainside home just to heat it up, because I will have to replace it after 6 months. And that's I will never compensate the cost of the hardware. But if we go to commodification of hardware, that's a place where there is a lot of competition, very small advantage for incumbents, and very decentralization pressures. So yeah, I was not so fast as an explanation, but I hope I passed the message.
1000%. I always learn from you. Thanks, Giacomo. Tom, do you have a follow-up?
No, I think we can move on to the next one. That was a good explanation, Giacomo.
And we have good news. Giacomo, back to you then, because you explained so well. Segwit adoption looks up.
Yeah, it's up, and as Tom tweeted in the news, there is the good news of Xapo adopting. As Tom tweeted, it's a little bit too late, like 1 year too late, but still before BitPay and others. So kudos to them. The adoption is going up, and that means that the small scale advantages that we can have from the adoption of Segwit can start to be felt more. Actually, it doesn't translate immediately in fees. It's not that the more people is using Segwit, the less fees we will pay, because that also have to match with adoption and actual usage of the mempool. But it's a very good news. Right now we are. I mean, there is still a lot of effort to do in order to get close to, I don't know, 80% or something like that. But we are slowly going there.
Thanks, Giacomo. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's we're getting there. I mean, Zappo was finally there. I mean, if we were using Zappo as, I mean, look, they were confrontational. They clearly don't give a shit about Bitcoin, from what it sounded like. They dragged their feet on Segwit last year. They were not interested in cheaper transactions for their clients, and they're finally come on board a year too late. And we're still waiting for BitPay. Coinbase eventually came on board. Blockchain.info is still nowhere to be heard. So I mean, and these Bcash trolls and all these other big blockers blame core developers for going too slow. We're about actually using the stuff that the core developers innovate and putting it out for people to actually use. So like the blame gets put in completely the wrong place. And I'm not going to give Zappa credit for doing something they were supposed to do a year ago.
Yeah, but I
just as a quick comment about that, the CEO, the president actually of Xapo Wences, he actually was one of the supporters of Segwit 2x attack against Bitcoin, and is one of the few that kind of said, I mean, he didn't really say sorry, I was wrong, and I participated in an attack against Bitcoin, and the BTC1 implementation was broken, was bugged, and if adopted, Bitcoin 2x will have killed Bitcoin immediately on day zero because of a bug put there by Jeff Garzik. So he didn't say that would have been appropriate, but he said something like, probably, I don't remember the formulation, but he tweeted something like, I felt too rush. There is no rush. Bitcoin can go slowly. Now I think that the scaling roadmap is reasonable. So he kind of apologized in his way, and everybody around me started to love him again. And so probably one of the things that makes easy for maximalists to love Xapo is that they are one of the few companies that didn't pivot to altcoins during the current altcoin craziness. So everybody else, even very serious businesses, not everybody, but many businesses are pivoting to altcoins because the market now is in a pure hype bubble about scam coins, and they kind of stick with Bitcoin. So probably that plus the quasi apologies is probably compensating, not for me, but for many people, the participation of Xapo in the attack against Bitcoin.
Correct. Yeah. And specifically, right, for everybody, Xapo, my understanding, it is a Bitcoin wallet, like you said, and combines cold storage, right, vault, and the Bitcoin-based debit card. Still, I believe. So yeah.
Sorry, just about that, because I'm very passionate about this. One of the other things I don't like about Xapo is exactly the fact that their cold storage is promoted with one of the most ridiculous security circuses. So I have clients in Switzerland that are impressed because they read on newspaper that Xapo is using World War II bunkers in order to, or Cold War bunkers in order to store private keys, and that's what's happening there, and that's actually what we call security circus. So try to impress the illiterate public into thinking that something is more secure because you put something strange. So what was that?
I didn't think you would put it up live.
I just clicked on it and went to the screen share one. Oh God. Sorry, Giacomo. That's Tone's fault.
No problem.
Thanks, Giacomo. Sorry for cutting you off with laughter. Yeah, any last comments you have? And then also if you could explain the roast beef, just like quickly, having ownership of the Git of Bitcoin wallet yesterday.
I mean, this is good news. I think that Jimmy had some comments about that. So maybe next week we will ask him. Anyway, roast beef fork of this wallet is trying to receive comments and PRs again. That's good. I'm still waiting to. I'm looking forward to finally see the masterpiece of Lalu Rosbeef, which is actually the Neutrino wallet with the new reverse SPV concept and Lightning implementation in mobile. So I mean, I love Rosbeef. I cannot follow him when he speaks because it's too fast, but he's a great guy, and I hope that this is leading to something.
Thanks, Giacomo. I like his name. And, I'm just going to keep picking on you. So what's going on with this, too? And I love Felix Weiss. So if you want to make a comment about how awesome he is, too.
Yeah, I agree about that. Felix is an awesome guy. He is the Bitcoin traveler, the guy that traveled the world with spending only Bitcoin. So he visited a lot of communities, and he's a good friend. And everywhere I go, he's there somehow. He's everywhere. And recently, few months ago, almost 1 year ago, maybe, started to work on this project, which is a project of fee estimation. So right now, in this web interface, you cannot really appreciate the service because it's just a very, very rudimental and simple table. But the real stuff is in the API. And there are API that are basically right now for free, but there is a project about monetization about this API, which I think is a very interesting model. Like Bitcoin wallets are by definition for free. There is not a good business model for a Bitcoin wallet. That's a very, very hard thing to do because they have to be open source. They cannot close you down. They are open and interoperable by definition. They cannot sell you advertising because they are not harvesting any data from you because of privacy concerns. So it's very, very difficult to monetize that. And one of the ideas of Felix was, what about, what is difficult in Bitcoin? Fee estimation is something difficult. You have to look at the mempool, but then if you really want to break inside the first block with the less possible expense, it's very difficult because sometimes there are huge peaks in the mempool, sometimes you have crashes. So there could be space for a proprietary, let's say private fee estimation algorithm or effort that can be sold using APIs to wallet operators or businesses or whatever. So right now, if you look at what the fee.io, you don't see a lot of aesthetics. You don't even see the units of measure. It's not super nice as a table right now, but the power is in the API of this service. So the idea is to use it for third parties in order to get the best fee estimation possible. Not that the open source efforts are bad, like Core Wallet, Bitcoin Core Wallet has very, very good fee estimation. Green Address Wallet has a very, very good fee estimation. Electrum has apparently good fee estimation. So that there are free open estimation efforts that are working very, very good. But this is the first step toward a professional fee estimation service for businesses, which is a very interesting business idea.
So thank you, Felix. And so you, all in all, you'd recommend it?
Well, I did try the API, and I've seen some comparison. It was good. There was maybe the point here is that you really need to. I mean, it's not for the general public. It's not something that a normal user should probably use in order to decide the fee on his wallet, because it will be very slow. Probably this is more targeted to third-party businesses. Something like an exchange that has to batch a lot of transaction and then send a very, very big transaction with many outputs. And it's very crucial to select the perfect fees. So I think that the targets are not average user for the everyday expense. In that case, the best thing is to have a wallet that already is reasonable with fee estimation. So Samurai wallet is great for fee estimation. Green Address is good. Core is good. But for businesses, this is something absolutely interesting. Muted.
Yep. Sorry about that. And just really quick before moving on, yes, I think we're all huge fans of Felix. He actually, if you guys go back to Tone's interview of people at Consensus, that, and then also it was a token, which I would not consider a person. Felix did come on the screen, and he's just really cool. And for anyone that doesn't know, he traveled the world for, I believe it was 18 months only using Bitcoin, and even ended up in Micronesia. Just very cool guy. Tone, Whale Panda. Yes. We'll finish with Whale.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so look, Bcash continues to be a joke, right? It continues to be a technological joke, and I don't exactly know the details of why wallets aren't able to work with Bcash anymore, but that's probably because they have 7 teams that do not coordinate with each other, and one of those teams just does whatever it wants because it's got a joint office between Roger Ver, Jihan Wu, and Fake Satoshi. And whatever they decide to put into the code will stay in the code. It's probably not compatible with the rest of the Bcash crap, and wallets are having a problem. So sooner or later, every single business, every single wallet, every single operation will begin to dump this garbage because it basically makes Jax look like a clown. So they're better off not having this token on their wallet if it's going to cause their users significant harm.
I think we all agree on that one, and thanks, Whale Panda. Tone, TA?
Sure. Oh yeah, sorry, if I may, just to comment about that. This is something that doesn't concern only Bcash, but also Ethereum in a way, and many other altcoins. So the on the super fast innovation breaking. Do you hear me?
Back up.
Now we can. Back up 1 second. Uh-oh, I think we lost track now. There we go.
So probably a connection problem. Okay. So I was saying that not just Bcash, but any altcoins which is focused on this idea of move fast and break things. I mean, move fast and break things, continuous evolution, and changing things all the time in order to improve and add features. This is something that can work for a commercial product. Like if you have an app on your phone, a new app from San Francisco that does cool things, you want fast evolution, you want it to move fast and break things. But blockchains and Bitcoin in particular are not commercial products. They are infrastructure level standards. And when you have an infrastructure level standards, what you want is not to add feature fast, is not to change things fast. You want backward compatibility first. That's the first and the only thing that you should be concerned with. So it's not that Bitcoin choice to be conservative about that. It's just a style choice, just an ideological choice. It's the only possible choice for something that wants to be an infrastructure, a base level, a base layer on top of which you can build other things. If you change too much and with backward incompatible changes and infrastructure, everything on top cannot be built. So I mean, Bcash guys are clowns. True, but this is true also for other blockchain or fake blockchain that makes a point in adding features and changing and evolving very, very fast and breaking.
All right. Yeah, you cut out there for a second, but I don't know if he's still cut out.
No, he's muted now.
Yeah,
We got the point. Though he might be frozen now.
Well, frozen on a good smile, so that's
might have lost Giacomo.
No, we got you back, Giacomo.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Let me check the screen share. I just want to point out once again that, like yesterday, I learned that another person got scammed by a fake tone vase on Telegram, and paid for a workshop in London, I believe, and it wasn't to me. So please, the only place to register for anything that I do is at tonevase.com. There is nothing I can do for you if you believe that a fake version of me is trying to get money from you on Telegram. Okay, I try not to request anything on Telegram, and I tell people to go through my website now. Okay, the crypto space is full of scammers. This is a lesson for you. You're gonna get scammed, and don't fall for fake things on Telegram. When you look for Tone Vase on Telegram, the first 4 to 5 options are all scammers. They found a way to get their Telegram handles for fake me to be ranked ahead of me. Okay, so do not, if you search for me on Telegram, you'll probably end up talking to a fake Tone Vase. So please go to tonevase.com. If you're interested in a workshop, please go through these links. If you're interested in the indicator, please go through these links. Okay, I'm adding everything to tonevase.com so that less and less people will continue to get scammed. Here's the weekly chart. The weekly chart remains at the lows. It remains in a $7,500 area. We are under the 50-week moving average. This is pretty bad. Let's see what happens next week. We still have all of these high points as factors in our 30-week moving average, but the 7-week moving average is going to start to turn down. So the next candle, if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this candle will go away. So the 7-week moving average is going to drop next week. If it goes below the 50-week, that's another, bad nail in the coffin of the price of Bitcoin going down. There's actually plenty of room to the downside. Notice how, I'm going to magnify look at the RSI. The RSI on a weekly chart, the only time it's ever been in the oversold territory was in January of 2015, when the price fell from 1,200 down to 150. The RSI is about to yet make a new low, and when it does, I would expect it to accelerate. So if we compare this, I'm not even looking at the price right now, right? What does this look like to me? We had a bunch of overbought conditions. We fell down to below 50, made a low, went back above 50, went down. So here's the 50 line, right? We went all the way back up. So here it is. So here's what, so if I had to make a comparison to kind of where we are, it's possible that we are here based on the RSI condition. So the RSI condition is very, very similar in this area to what it is right now in this area, though a little more pronounced here than there. So what area is this? This is August of 2014. So a couple of months ahead of schedule, okay, before. So, but again, right, I keep saying the current downturn is happening faster than the downturn back in 2014. So it's possible we're going to bottom out faster. It's possible that we're going to hit bottom, let's say in August, September, as opposed to January, okay? So it's possible we're going to bottom out. The bear market will only last 9 to 10 months as opposed to like 14 to 15 months, okay? So this could actually bottom out sometime this year. But that's pretty much the RSI. If I zoom in on the MACD and compare the time periods, as you can see, we went way further up on the MACD, and the current situation is not even crossing back to the upside. Again, we're in this area here of July, and you can see how the MACD went below the zero line and into negative territory. The MACD is just starting to go into this negative territory now, and it never even crossed. Okay, so let's zoom that out. Now let's take a look at the price and just the price. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me shorten this. We are in a log chart, and we'll do this. Okay. So I continue to, right now, the current big drop candle is starting to look a lot like the August candle of 2014. So we are speeding up the process of going to the downside. Now, remember what happened in 2014. Once we got below the 50-day moving average and we got back to the vicinity of the prior low closes, right? So here's the prior low closes that took place in April of 2014. The prior low closes also took place in April of 2014. The moment this area got broken to the downside, which took place in September at a price of $440, we fell down to 270. So we fell almost 50% fairly quickly. And then we made one more additional low of like another 40% fall from there. So if we break the lows of 6,500, I am expecting a fall down to under 5,000 very, very quickly. And if we're lucky, that would be the end of the bear market. Probably not. We'll probably make one more low going into August, September of this year. Okay, so that's I remain looking at the markets in that way. Let's go to the daily chart. Here's the daily chart. As I was partially expected, a bit of a slowdown in the $7,600 vicinity. The $7,500 mark, this is this yellow line. I've had this yellow line for a long time now. I'm just going to expand it. This was the high. I can even maybe lower this line a little bit because I'm using the candle close as I'm using the intraday high as opposed to the candle close. If I lower it and I split the middle between candle high and candle close, now we are literally right at the current area. So this is a critical point. I think this can hold up the price for a short amount of time, but I do expect this to be broken. There's absolutely no support anywhere here until you get to this $5,000 level. So once once people get comfortable with the $7,500 price of Bitcoin, I'm expecting one more strong leg down into the $5,000 area. If we're lucky, that would be it. But probably not. But we'll see when we get there. Okay. Here's the 12-hour chart. The 12-hour chart is on an 8 of 9. It's about to slow down. So once again, looking for a short-term, hold up. But you got to be real careful because once you've established a new low, which it looks like we pretty much have established a new low in the $7,300 area. Once this low is broken to the downside, expect things to accelerate. Somebody in the chat said, hey, Tone, 7,600 was one of your support points with the possibility of it going back to the upside. So the person said, how come you're not bullish right now because we hit 7,500? Because of the way we hit it, right? Like if you expected, this area of 7,300 to be a significant low in the price of Bitcoin, we would have bid over 8,000 or 9,000 by now. We would have needed to go up very, very quickly with a lot of volume. Okay. So because that didn't happen, and now we're back in the vicinity of the lows, it's not looking very pretty. Your only other option for the $7,500 area to be the new bottom is for us to get stuck at 7,500 for the rest of the summer, to the point where people are so bored of Bitcoin that it has no volatility, and that can set up a condition for it to go up. But that is also unlikely. So sometime early next month or even later this month, I'm expecting $7,000 to break, and we go down fairly quickly. Moving down a time frame, this is the 4-hour chart. Again, everything is slowing down right now. There is absolutely, I wouldn't be taking on any trades. I would wait for that $7,300 area to be broken to the downside, and then the drop should accelerate. Hourly chart, kind of like the same thing. Let's take a look at gold. I think this is just a small bounce into this moving average crossover. I think I don't expect gold to go back to 1,400. I do think gold will probably go down some more. Here's the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is looking really, really good. I don't have my S&P 500 up, but I'm once again very optimistic the stock market. And someone in the chat mentioned about oil, because about a week ago or something, I pulled up a monthly chart of oil, and I pointed to a monthly 9 that should put an end to this, yearly run of oil. And there it is, right? Oil's been going up for almost a year. It's been going up since last September. Here's a monthly chart of oil, and there's your 9. I don't remember what the price was when I pointed to this, but I have a feeling it was somewhere near the top. And I told people, hey, if you are a long-term investor of oil, this chart has been pretty damn good. Here's a 9, 1 to 4 candle correction, and then down. I gave you a 9 on the bottom after a beautiful reversal candle. Now we're going up, and boom, there's your monthly 9. So we can, go down a time frame and see what's going on. Not as clean, but you did get a bunch of 13s over the last couple of weeks, this going into the summer. And now we're starting to turn. If next week gives you a lower low, oil might pull back a little bit. All right. All right. That's pretty much it for me. Once again, please don't get scammed. And if you are interested in attending a workshop, I'm going to be in Dublin on the 9th of June, London on the 16th, and Montreal on the 23rd. Okay. Please only register here. You can also start registering for Berlin on July 7th. I will be doing a workshop in Berlin on July 7th.
Thanks, Tone. Right, NASDAQ up. You asked about S&P. Last I checked, it was down today. Same with Dow. And as for oil, even though you don't like your fundamentals, everybody should follow what's going on with policy between Trump and Saudi right now. Kind of interesting regarding OPEC. And Giacomo, did you have one last statement?
Yeah, actually, yes. So during our podcast, our morning brief, I receive a lot of comments about what we say, and most of comments are kind of stupid, so I don't bother you with them. But about our discussion about Tether of the last day, I received today two very interesting things that I would like to share with you. The first one was a partial rebuttal of what I said about fractional reserve of Tether's bank. So my point, I was being smart, and I said, even if Tether is not doing fractional reserve with inside the company, so you give $100 to Tether, they are keeping in the bank only 50 and maybe using elsewhere the others. Even if they are not doing that, their bank, by definition of the banking system, is doing fractional reserve itself. So even if Tether is liquid enough in case of bank run, their bank cannot be, because it will be fractional reserve. Actually, a guy pointed me to the fact that the new bank of Tether is actually called Noble Bank, and is a bank in there is the website is noblegrp.com, Noble Group, and in the homepage of this website, they say that they are a full reserve bank. So if that is true, and I mean, right now I don't have reason to doubt it, my comment about the fractional reserve, not of the company, but of the bank, was wrong. Because apparently they're using a full reserve bank. I wasn't even aware that they do exist. And the second comment is from an internal source of Bitfinex, and they say that they can eventually involve me in a proof of funds on Tether, like the one they did on September 2017. So I'm going to respond yes. That could be. I mean, it's not a cryptographic proof like with Bitcoin. This is probably a fiat-related proof. So I don't really know how it's done and how I can witness something like that. But I just answered yes, interested. So I hope we will be able to follow up anyhow this stuff.
Thanks, Giacomo. Yeah, that for more, that was in the story of the Bloomberg story that we were talking about regarding Noble Bank and full reserve banking. But yeah, good points. And I like your insider knowledge. This is helpful. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Mark, thank you so much, Shop Cryptopia, for helping me be a miner today on this show. Giacomo?
Bye, everybody. I don't have a final catchphrase like Jimmy. But
we need to get you one though. We need to get you one.
Bye, guys. Good luck trading.